we've now reached peak anti-wokeness. We've hit the anti-wokeness singularity now. Apparently, House Republicans are putting together an anti-woke caucus. Oh, all right. So here's a clip on Fox News. Representative Jim Banks is going to talk about it. Let's listen.
Wokeness is weakness. It's a cancer that's eating America from inside out. You look at the recruiting numbers in the United States military, way off of its goals, because many of our troops are telling us they're sick and tired of spending all of their time on diversity and inclusion training.
That's the only reason that, you know, people aren't signing up to be in the military. That's the reason. You know, some guys like, I'm going to go march down to that. Oh, bro, I'm not going to sign up because there's a bunch of blue-haired freaks everywhere, bro. Can't do it. Can't do it. What if they tell me I need to turn trans, bro? What if they do that? What then? You know, just a thought. It might be the case. Now, by the way, I don't even know if his numbers are true. Like, I don't know if it's actually true. Like, oh, people aren't signing up as much as they were before. If they're not based, that's good. But if what he's saying is true, maybe one of the reasons is there's a war in Ukraine. Russia invaded Ukraine. We've been sending money and weapons to Ukraine. There are genuine World War III concerns. You know, people feel like, seems like a kind of yikesy idea. If I get in the military now, I might end up being shipped to Kiev, or Kiev, however you say it, and end up fighting and dying. I don't know. That seems like a bad idea. Maybe it had to do with, I don't know, the whole war on terror era. We did a war in Iraq. We did a war in Afghanistan. We did a drone war all around the Middle East. We did a shadow war in Africa. Maybe people look around and they go, you know, this doesn't feel very much like World War II, which was a war of necessity. It was a noble war to fight back against basically the embodiment of pure evil. You know, I look at that and I'm like, if I was around at the time, I feel like, hey, maybe I would have signed up for that war, because it's like, this is real, man. But, you know, toppling dictators all over the Middle East, dictators who at one time we previously propped up, whether it be Saddam Hussein or Gaddafi in Libya or whatever, you know, or Bashar al-Assad, you look at that and you go, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if I want to be involved. I don't know if I agree with all these wars. I don't know if I agree with 900 military bases. I don't know if I agree with, there was the recent audit that the Pentagon failed, where now we know 59% of their money, they can't account for it. Wait, trillions of dollars going gonzo. Maybe people are waking up to the military industrial complex fraud. Maybe they're waking up and they're going, you know, I don't want to be cannon fodder for Dick Cheney or for the CEO of Raytheon. Maybe that has something to do with it. What do you think? What do you think? No, it's wokeness, and wokeness alone. That's the only issue. It's the only issue. Because, you know, when I think of the U.S. military, what I think is they're too soft and they're too trans-inclusive. That's what it is.
Not on how to fight wars and compete with our enemies like China and Russia. We have the 1619 Project being pushed on kids in our schools and teaching them that America is inherently racist and evil. So here's the question.
All right, hold on. So the 1619 Project, there are factual issues with it. Like, it's not a totally pure factual retelling of history. Okay. But to take issue with, like, hey man, people are being taught that the U.S. was founded on racism. It was at least one of the things we were found. I mean, that's just a fact, right? Like, there was slavery. There was slavery. A lot of the founding fathers owned slaves. Like, are we supposed to say that racism wasn't part of the founding of the country? Is that what we're supposed to say? I mean, they literally had the 3/5 compromise in the founding of our nation. Like, I literally don't know of any other interpretation other than, yeah, there was racism at the founding. Now, you could say, hey, it got a lot better because we moved past Jim Crow, we moved past segregation, there was the Civil Rights Act in the 1960s, the Voting Rights Act, like that, and that's all taught. That's all, like, people learn that. But, like, thou doth protest too much. Like, what is there to argue against when it's like, people are being taught that there was racism at the founding, bro? How dare they? How dare they be taught that? These teachers need to pretend we were perfect from second one. And that's the reality, is that these guys, they will call out what they view to be propaganda on the other side, but they don't realize they're just as bad, if not worse, offenders, because they want to teach their own biased version of history, a version that does not match with the facts in any way, shape, or form.
Question that I have for you and all of my Republican colleagues in Congress, or all of my colleagues rather, is how do we inspire the next generation of patriotic Americans to step up and do what you and I did, raise our right hand and take an oath to defend and protect this country, and maybe perhaps even ultimately pay the ultimate sacrifice for the United States of America if we tell them at the same time that America is evil and not worth dying for. So that's why I want to start a caucus focused for the first time in Congress on uprooting wokeism.
First of all, nobody's being taught that America is evil in American public school. Nobody's being taught that. Nobody. There is no teacher who's like, America's evil. That doesn't happen. That's the caricature. That's the straw man. That's the, let me pretend like they're saying something they don't actually say. But an anti-woke caucus, really? Like what? Okay, so what are you going to focus on? Now, you guys know this. There are issues of quote-unquote wokeness going too far that I've talked about that I agree with. I think it's a total waste of time and energy to like grab something that some comedian said, which was an attempt at a joke that didn't land, or it crossed a line, or it was bigoted, or whatever, and spend a couple days or a week melting down over it and trying to get that person fired from their next gig or whatever. Yeah, that's crazy. I don't agree with that. But what is the anti-woke caucus in Congress going to talk about? Are you going to hold hearings on comedians being canceled? Is that what you're going to do? Are you going to hold hearings on social media censorship? By the way, if you do that and you do a real job looking at the evidence, you would find out very quickly it's not just the right that's censored. The left gets censored all the time, especially now under Elon, but even previously. All these massive Antifa accounts were banned under the previous Twitter ownership. Under current Twitter ownership, groups that track the far right have been banned. Multiple journalists were banned just for reporting on the feud Elon had with the Elon Jet account. Don't tell me, under the guise of this is Russian propaganda, a bunch of lefties were banned. So what are you actually going to look at? And it seems to be focused directly on the military when it comes to this anti-wokeness caucus. So what's the problem here? What's the problem in the military with wokeness? What now? Like, the U.S. military has embraced some basic like pride flag thing, like they have some rainbow colors for some military related stuff, so that's an affront to your sensibilities. Like, look, my guess is this guy wants to go back to the old days where it's like, don't ask, don't tell in the military. So if you're gay, shut up about it. You know, he probably doesn't want trans people in the military at all. Doesn't, acts like people are being indoctrinated into wokeness, which is why they don't want to sign up to be cannon fodder. It's like, that ain't it, dog. That is not it. I can guarantee you there's some bigger issues there. Like, the war posture with Russia, the proxy war going on over there, the hawkish stance now with China, the fact that we're an empire in decline and China's on the rise, and, we don't exactly have a steady hand of leadership. We don't exactly have a unifying national cause, and so just like, they're so goofy. They're so silly. Now, by the way, at the same time, Republicans were looking like we want to cut $75 billion from military spending. That's during the fight with Boebert and Gates against McCarthy. Ever since they, the fight has been reconciled, now you have every Republican and their mother going on TV like, one thing we're definitely not doing is ever cutting the military ever. Okay, everybody relax. No military cuts. It's totally cool. So in other words, the one half decent thing that was on the table, they're like, definitely not that. We'd rather cut Social Security and Medicare, just so everybody understands. This is insanity. And instead of, doing a committee on imperialism and U.S. overreach and bloated military budgets and war profiteering or whatever, it's like, let's talk more about the purple-haired freaks, bro, with the septum ring. You know what I'm saying? They're the problem in the country. We have to have hit peak anti-wokeness, right? Because it's at the point now, and you guys know this, but now nobody even defines it. Like, what do you mean by woke? Exactly what do you mean by woke? Because now people use it, to talk about, like, unions. Like, unions are woke, or universal healthcare is woke. Anything I don't like is woke. It's like, you're breaking the woke meter. You've gone too far in your anti-wokeness where it's now a religion, just like the criticism of original wokeness was. Like, you guys are getting a little too crazy wanting to be authoritarian in service of what you view as social justice. Well, this is like being authoritarian in service of anti-social justice. This is, you know, they have similar characteristics as the people they despise. And they have similar tactics. So anyway, goofiest thing I've ever heard. Hope it doesn't happen. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.